Blizz Talk with Straight Edge 187 and Docta and I. Here at Blizz Talk, we love to sit back, stretch our sacks, bitch and moan about everything Blizzard Entertainment. We love to hate them, and we know you do too. And now, here's Season 2 of Blizz Talk with Straight Edge and Docta and I.
And thank you very much, Mr. Michael Oxlong, as always, for that wonderful introduction. The boys are back! New season, new expansion, new sacks? Well, no, maybe not new sacks, but you get the idea. Welcome, my fellow geeks and nerds and everyone in between. Blizz Talk, Season 2 of Blizz Talk. Doctor, how are you doing?
Great, man. Just passed my final yesterday. I mean, missed the first half a week of Legion essentially, but passed my final, and now it's a 3-day weekend, and I'm able to hit this hard, dude.
Yeah, you know, at first we were kind of worried, and not sure how, the fans were going to react to the whole season thing. Because I bet you everybody was like, no more Blizz Talk, bro. What the hell's going on, man? We haven't heard anything from the boys. Yeah, so now you see the format going forward will be seasons. Because as a great entertainer once said, when they love it, always leave them wanting more.
It's one way to look at it for sure.
Exactly. So yeah, wow, so much to talk about, Doctor, in the world of Blizzard Entertainment. So much shit has happened since we last were on this microphone. Freaking lots of things in Overwatch. Heroes of the Storm, does that still exist? Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit, but the biggest thing, of course, biggest news, Legion has invaded Azeroth. And I think this podcast is going to be very heavily focused on Legion. And one thing that Doctor and I are going to do throughout the course of this expansion is we're going to do like step-by-step comparisons to the fucking absolute disaster that was WoD. And what I mean by that is we're going to take WoD pre-patch and we're going to compare it to Legion pre-patch. We're going to do it in stages, to be fair. We're not going to sit here and be like, yeah, Legion just kicked WoD's ass, bro. It's the greatest expansion ever. Because we all know when it comes to Blizzard Entertainment, you know that they give us that boner and then they cut it in half with a samurai sword whenever they feel like. So we're just going to do it in stages. Let's start by talking about 7.0, bro, the Legion pre-patch, and comparing it to WoD pre-patch exactly 1 year ago. What are your thoughts on that, Doc?
Well, first and foremost, I have to say here that we're swallowing our pride, because I think the last time we recorded anything, we were both pretty dead set against playing. So
I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened.
However, as far as looking back at WoD, I would say that WoD's entire existence was in fact a pre-patch, and we did say that earlier. And after seeing what Legion has accomplished so far, WoD does just look like a massive $60 pre-patch.
Yeah, well, I mean, let me back up just a little bit. That is true. If you go back and you listen to, I don't know, about the last 3 podcasts that we did before the end of Season 1, we, especially me, was dead set against playing Legion. I was just fed up with the bullshit, man. And I'll tell you a story. What ended up happening was, about 2 months ago now, Doc? I started doing some research. I jumped in PTR because they had finally put pre-patch in PTR. And I wanted to give it its fair chance and at least try out the class changes with the new class fantasy and all this crap. And if I remember correctly, like about 24 hours after that, I called the Doc and I said, you know what, Doc? Holy crap. I think I would play Legion just to play a Mistweaver and nothing else. Because that class to me was that damn fun.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what you said. And I said, well, have fun in that
Yeah,
game.
You were still like, yeah, have fun with that crap, man. Screw you, I ain't going back.
Yeah, it wasn't until, a week and a half ago, I was almost done with clinicals, and I quit my job and became an Uber driver for the rest of my schooling experience, so that I can kind of have a little bit of freedom in my schedule and less stress, and I said, well, why not? I'll give it a go for a month. Since my homeboy's playing, I might as well see what it's about. Made a, logged into the priest, looked at what they did to discipline, fell in love, and I think I've played a grand total of 15 minutes on any other class.
Yeah. So, and that's what was the Mistweaver for me, that Disc Priest was for the Docta. And literally, it was like a week and a half ago. It was at the time of this recording. And I think I convinced him finally by saying, hey, you know what, man? I give Disc a go, because I believe that was one of the few that they nailed the class fantasy horse shit, and it's exactly what you wanted Disc to be for like the last, 8-9 years. He played it for like 10 minutes and he was hooked.
Yeah, I actually vividly remember being out driving for work and telling you that the one thing that they could do to save Disc would be taking away 90% of the absorbs, or at least making them like a debuff. And when I read Smite's tooltip, I was tickled. I mean, everything about that spell. I name it one of the strongest spells in the freaking book, man, for the mana cost and for what it is, not being a major cooldown, and for just a second long cast or a second and a half long cast, I think it has more, it packs more of a punch than 99% of the spells in the spell books, man. It is that good.
Yeah. And, you put all that together and combined with the fact that Heroes of the Storm is an absolute living shit mess right now. End of Season 1 Overwatch during this time. Biggest driving force behind me coming back, you got my girlfriend, who's literally a WoD baby. Her first WoW experience is WoD, and she was upset because I kept saying I'm not playing Legion, fuck Blizzard, when it comes to WoW. And I try out the Monk. She keeps hounding me about at least, trying it out to see what it's like. I cave, and I freaking fall in love with that class, and here we are. We are back in the world of Azeroth. Now, that being said, let's compare.
Tanking still sucks.
Yeah, tanking still sucks. We will not back down from what we said the week after we talked about Nostarius, which was, I think, episode 9 of Blizz Talk. Last season's last episode. Tanking is a complete travesty. We'll get into that later, for a little bit, but holy crap. Let's talk about Legion pre-patch compared to WoD pre-patch. If you think back to what WoD pre-patch was, I think it was literally 3 quests that you did next to the freaking Black Temple, where you killed 8 mobs for each quest, and bam, that was it. And then they added the dungeon.
Yeah, right before the they had all the stuff right before the Dark Portal, and so anyone who used the 90 boost, yeah, here's how you're gonna learn your abilities, blah blah blah. So that was there. There was a little bit of content there, but as far as class changes went, man, like WoD got one thing right, very 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 right: tanking.
Well, I'll go a little bit further and say that maybe then WoD got 2 things right. Let's be fair to WoD and give WoD its due. WoD got tanking right. I'm sure there's going to be many people that disagree with that, but that's okay. That's what this is all about. Leave us comments, tell us we're full of shit. It's been done before. But one other thing, let's talk about that for a second. What did WoD do right? Honestly, besides what the doctor just said about tanking, the one thing that WoD got very right is that it gave us new character models. Straight up.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, I'm happy with that. The character models look fucking sick. The new engine that they're using to design character models and the in-game world is fantastic. They managed to take, and they're probably really like new character models. That's not that big of an accomplishment when you really think about it. It really is, because if there's one thing that they accomplished with WoD is that they took a 10-year-old game and they made it look new again, and that's not an easy accomplishment. Not with a freaking engine that's 11 years old.
Yeah. Now, just because it looks new, I like pointing this out because I think this is part of what allows WoW to stay WoW. for over 10 years is the fact that it's their art style that makes it kind of look old. I mean, if I play Dark Souls 3 for 2 or 3 hours straight, it takes a few minutes for me to adjust back to what WoW looks like. And that's because everyone's going for this really realistic look, and WoW is very happy with their fantasy, the kind of cartoony, not really look, but it's a look that is built to last.
Exactly. And if you take a game like Overwatch, it's fucking brilliant. You know, I always tip the hat to the freaking Overwatch team, man. Because you take a game that's brand new, it just came out this year, but it still has that cartoony art style, but still manages to look like what a game today would look like, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what makes Blizzard games like immortal, because it's that style of art that makes the games last.
Yeah, the vivid colors and the, you know, it's good. They do a great job in that aspect. And the character models back in WoD when it was first brought out were awesome. That was a huge update. And so maybe us saying that it was just one massive pre-patch is almost too harsh, knowing what an undertaking it must have been to completely change the way the world looks. But at the same time, I still think it's a lot of money for the world to look a little bit different. I mean, the gameplay, other than tanking, was kind of lackluster, and the raid design and the way they released it and the way everything worked out was just, I didn't dig it.
Yeah, man, the Facebook quests. You know, I mean, when you really, it's amazing when you look back at WoD. And once again, being fair, I don't want this to sound just like let's hate on WoD Fest now that Legion's out. We're going to be as fair as we possibly can be. You know, tanking, character models, and let's be honest, man, when we first started questing in WoD, the story at first, I'm talking patch 6.0 and 6.1, was great. The art was awesome. The storyline was great. The questing was really good. The story, you know, every little quest line you did had a story. You felt like you were actually accomplishing something. That was good. I could have leveled, and I said this before, I think it was on WoW Talk, when we were still doing WoW Talk. You know, I could level 8 characters and not be bored because the questing experience was pretty fun. It wasn't until 6.1 where the shit that they gave us that they called content with, you know, a selfie cam and Facebook integration, bro. You know, yeah. That was one hell of a content patch, man. And then the fucking travesty that was 6.2, where all of a sudden Grommash Hellscream is a good guy that we never fought, and yeah, Azeroth or Draenor is saved, man. Archimon is down, and it's like, what the fuck is going? Like, what happened between here and here? Just lazy storytelling that it was blatantly apparent they had given up on the fucking expansion. Because they sat there and they wanted us to believe that 230 people were working on fucking Tanan Jungle for 6 months. Yeah, okay.
I think we can see where 230 people have been working for the last couple of years, man. Like, well, Legion has been in production, I believe, since well before WoD was even happening.
Yep. No, it was happening during, like, with WoD was like being worked on. It was already being worked on by another team. I know it's dangerous to get into the territory of so you're going back on what you said. You know, you're already saying Legion is better. It's not that we're saying that Legion is better, but when you use your common sense and you just log in, for those of you that may have not yet come back to Legion because you're afraid to, come back. Just from being in the zones, looking at the zones, from seeing the sheer, like, the vastness and the size of what's going on in the world. And what I mean by that is the storylines, man. How many storylines are going on simultaneously right now? I have lost count. Just when you see the sheer amount of everything that's happening in Azeroth as you're going through the Broken Isles and beyond, Just from looking at the work that was put into the Broken Isles, just the sheer size of everything that's going on around you, you can see, without a shadow of a doubt, that Warlords of Draenor was literally a filler. It was just a filler to keep people busy while they finished working on Legion.
Yeah, the world is pretty awesome, man. The Broken Isles are legit, dude. And the way the questing is working and lining up currently is fantastic. I mean, I I didn't want it to be that way. I wanted World of Warcraft to be dying off, and it's not going to. It's not happening this time anyways. Granted, no raids are out currently, and so that could change quite a few things, and I've found a few bugs, but overall, man, we can't look past the fact as well that this is the best release that they have had on a game or an expansion since before vanilla, dude.
Yeah, I mean, when you think back to November 2014, man, holy shit, what a rocky fucking launch. I mean, there were people that couldn't even get in for a week after WoD launched. And yeah, I mean, part of that was the fact that, we didn't expect that many people to resub, man. The hype was real, bro. Yeah, that was part of it, but let's not forget DDoS. There was a lot of DDoS attacks that happened during that same time, and they were not prepared. That's like I see Illidan saying Blizzard was not prepared.
Oh yeah, man.
But it's a testament to they have learned their lesson, man. You got to give Blizz their credit where credit is due. They learned their lesson from WoD launch because people need to realize that this. I wouldn't be surprised, and we won't really know for sure because they're not releasing sub numbers anymore. But I'm pretty confident that right now the sub numbers are above what WoD was at launch because the Warcraft movie just came out this year. People tend to forget that there's a lot of new players in the World of Warcraft that are literally Legion babies or 6.2 babies because they either are playing the game for the first time or you have people back in the game that haven't played since like Wrath or Cataclysm because of the hype, because of the movie hype, man. It's nostalgic. So I wouldn't be surprised if sub numbers right now are in the 12 millions because everybody wants to see what the Legion has to offer. But here's the thing. For as much credit as we're giving Blizz for Legion, that doesn't mean that we're going to sit here and say, yep, Legion's already automatically better than WoD. Because everybody knows 6.1 can hit, and we're like, what the hell, Blizzard? 7.1. And then 7.2 hits, and we're just ready to throw our computers against the wall like we were with WoD. But in stages, comparing this stage of Legion to the stage of WoD during the same time, so far, Blizzard is fucking knocking it out of the park. And I give them credit for that.
Minus Garrison 2.0. And I'm sorry.
You had to go there, bro.
Yeah, I did, because Mr. Hazakostas, I think they call him, getting up, no, there's very big differences and they're not going to be the same and blah, 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 blah. No, man, it is the same exact layout. Everything from the resource freaking tooltip being the exact same to, my followers going out. Freaking Garrison 2.0. And the saddest part about playing a priest is that there are like 2, maybe 3 of those NPCs that you get that anyone's ever even heard of, which is just a damn shame. But that's because I'm playing a class that really was brought into existence simply to fill that ultimate healer role, and I just don't feel like there's a whole ton of lore behind it as far as characters go, so I mean, it is what it is. I can accept that. What I'm having a hard time accepting is the fact that if I do not do my garrison missions, I will not be able to unlock everything on my weapon. And that that pisses me off. Garrison. I don't even like calling it the class order hall or whatever. It's just Garrison, dude.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. You're probably going to be a little bit shocked by this. Yeah, Mr. Hazakostas, fuck you. You know, it's like when Az first talked about it, where he almost threw his computer against the wall. And I think he put on his thumbnail, you think we want an Ian, but we fucking don't. Mr. Hazakostas, all you're doing is you sound like you're just trying to convince yourself that this is going to work because you're not convincing anybody but yourself. Yeah, Garrison's 2.0. You know, Garrisons need to burn to the ground. The concept, the idea needs to burn to the fucking ground and rest in pieces. Now, here's the thing, though. In the execution of it in Legion right now, thank God we only have 5 followers versus how many? 36 or whatever the fuck you could have. Thank God it's not the center of your questing and progression experience so far. But here's one major thing with Garrisons 2.0 that makes it, what's the word I'm looking for? Do I want to say bearable? That makes it passable, at least for now. What was the biggest gripe and the biggest thing that they got wrong about Garrisons and WAD that you would say, Doc?
The mandatory grind, the mandatory doing it, the fact that it tied into just about everything, and the fact that, you know, people could easily keep up without seeing any of the content.
Right, and that's all that is true. But here's the biggest thing, at least in my opinion and a lot of people's opinion, that they got wrong with Garrisons. It made WoW a single player game.
Oh yeah, no, that hasn't changed.
Well, here's the thing though. It actually has. Because when you go to your order hall, it's not just you that's in your class order hall. Everybody is in the order hall. Everybody representing your class is in the same order hall with you. So just in that one aspect, they got it right. You don't feel secluded in your own little corner, in your own little phase corner of the world where I can take on the entire expansion by myself and never have to do a fucking quest because I got followers that I can send out that give me XP, bro. And I can get Black Rock Foundry 685 gear just from doing my freaking Facebook missions, man. At the very least, that part doesn't exist anymore. And now, when you're in your order hall, you're with other people in the world in your order hall. So you don't at least feel like you're secluded in your own little corner of the world. You know what I mean? And that one little thing is major.
Yeah, I didn't look at it like that, but I mean, it is kind of cool to watch all the millions of priests. Not really that many, but you know, there's 20 or 30 in there all the time when I'm in there, and it's kind of nice seeing that. But the game's still more of a single player thing than a multiplayer anymore, in my opinion. It's hard to get away from that, and that's a player issue more than a dev team issue.
Yeah, absolutely. That's more of a community issue than it is a dev team. But it was originally, the seed was planted by the development. And, you know, the bad habits were formed due to their decisions as to the direction that they've taken the game. You know, and I mean, yeah, Garrisons 2.0, Garrisons need to burn in hell. That's where they belong. However, the way it's being done at this point, it's passable. I guess it's passable because of the millions of other fucking things there are to do in the world, or that you are doing in the world while all that other shit is going on, you know, in the order hall. Now, pre-patch compared to WoD, fucking awesome. Let's compare the, you know, 7.1 to 6, or I'm sorry, 7.0 to 6.0 leveling experience. You know, going through through the dark portal, and, you know, landing on the Broken Isles, choosing which zone you want to start. Let's compare that stage. How is the beginning of the expansion compared to what? What's your opinion on that?
Without giving too many spoilers away, there is a certain thing happening in the beginning with a certain dog that has me not happy.
Well, that's the beginning for us, because remember, you get to choose your starting zone. It might not be the beginning for everybody else.
That's true.
But yeah, that beginning for us, depending, you know, because of the zone we chose was a Stormheim. That story with that dog, bro. That dog is on my shit list.
Yeah, man. F him, dude. Some people just want to watch the world burn, dude.
Exactly. You know, you can really compare this dog with the Joker, man. He really doesn't give a shit about anything but himself. Now, huge freaking deaths in the story. Everybody knows. If you don't know, it's too bad. You're gonna get spoiled on this. Vol'jin is dead. King Varian is dead. You know, like right off the bat, dude. 7.0 freaking pre-expansion event with the freaking invasions, man. They went balls to the wall and they showed how serious they were. Like, nobody's safe. Freaking WoW went Game of Thrones on us, bro.
Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of the way all of that unraveled, especially as far as Varian went, just because I've never been a huge fan of him. And I know there's some people in the world that really loved him, but really loved him. But I don't know. When he went, I was just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, and maybe it's because I'm a little biased. Horde's cinematics and cutscenes completely destroyed the Alliance one. I'm sorry, man. That cutscene when you go to Gromash Hold and Sylvanas is galled by Vol'jin, that was fucking epic.
Yes.
They did such a hell of a good job capturing the emotion in that. And my favorite part of the cutscene, I think we talked about this last week, was when he finally dies and his body's getting carried off. The power in the scene where she just stands there looking at the empty throne. And at first there's people, in the room. The room is full of people as they're carrying Vol'jin off. She's just standing there. The room empties. She's still just standing there, not moving a muscle. They did such a good job capturing the emotion in that. Capturing the holy shit, what just happened, it's all on me now moment. And I'm sorry, man. Goosebumps on that in that fire when Vol'jin was being burned. And they really captured the misfit feel of the Horde. They really captured that we're all the misfits that nobody likes. We're the outcasts feel of the Horde banding together. Undead, Orc, Tauren, you name it. All gathered in that bonfire and screaming for the Horde because they wanted to avenge their war chief. How fucking cool was that, man?
King of the North.
Exactly. Exactly, man. They captured that to the King of the North feel. They did such a good job capturing all the races of the Horde, man. It's like you felt like you were part of that group of misfits that nobody liked but had to band together for survival.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was well played, well done, and I've always been more of a fan of like the progression, the succession to the title of War Chief. It makes for a hell of a lot better storytelling and a hell of a lot closer bonds with the leadership of the faction than freaking my dad was the king and I was born the king and to be a king and here we go.
Here we go.
The light'll only take you so far, little dude.
Right? But man, the fucking idea that Sylvanas is the war chief of the Horde, bro.
Yeah. Badass.
What do you think is gonna happen, man? You think she has an agenda?
I think her agenda currently is to destroy the Legion, but we've seen some things in Helheim that would point and suggest that there is some sort of agenda. Again, I don't want to get too deep into spoilers. One of these days we're going to have to make that like a disclaimer if Mr. Oxlong wouldn't mind.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, it's like maybe have Mr. Oxlong say this will have spoilers. Fuck you if you don't like it or something. You know what I mean? But
probably have to pay him more.
Yeah, exactly. there's something, like you said, with Helheim. You really start when you look at it, and when you played this game as long as we have, and for those that haven't been playing for as long as we have, I've been playing since freaking pre-patch vanilla. The Doc's been playing since vanilla. When you really look at it, Blizzard has their style. They have their way of doing things. You can really see, and there's always clues to future events when you pay attention to what's going on currently. It always happens that way. Given my experience with that and what I've seen in the past with other expansions, there are a lot of underlying precursors to what's coming in the future when you really pay attention to what's going on with Sylvanas and the Stormheim storyline. When you pay attention to what's going on with Jaina, bro, let's talk about Jaina for a bit. And there's even some undertones being put into certain artifact quests, especially the Frost DK artifact quest. We're going to talk about that in a second. But Doc, what are your thoughts on Jaina?
What a lady, man. She's psycho, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch her implode. She's going to destroy herself quickly, and I look forward very much to aiding her across the veil.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think this is my prediction. They're purposely putting a lot of undertones and clues into a Sylvanas thing, where I think the intention is to get people to see, like, what is Sylvanas up to? What is Sylvanas up to? What is Sylvanas up to? What the fuck is she up to? And then the surprise is going to be, it was all about Jaina all along. Prediction. By either the end of this expansion or the next, Jaina will be a raid boss, if not the freaking antagonist of the expansion. Mark my words. That's been coming for years.
So, I think Sylvanas is going to be like the World of Warcraft Severus Snape, then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everyone's going to distrust her and hate her, and the whole time, man, she was just watching out for Azeroth, man.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think it's going to get even deeper. I think it's going to get even more suspicious. It's going to get to the point where people are going to start getting frustrated and pissed off at Sylvanas. But don't forget that key thing, man. Through it all, we must remember what happened in Gromosh Hold as Vol'jin was dying. Those words, man. The spirits have granted me clarity in my moment of death, and they whisper a name. Many will not understand. Many will not understand, but you must step out of the shadows and lead. You must be War Chief. Vol'jin named her War Chief, and it was for a purpose.
Yeah, and I don't think Vol'jin was lied to. I don't think he was deceived by the spirits. I mean, Sylvanas is 100% who is supposed to be in charge right now, and we're gonna have to wait to see what happens outside of that. But there's no doubt that she is where she is needed and where she
Exactly.
is currently.
Yeah, and to those that say, well, maybe Vol'jin was corrupted by Felman because he got stabbed. Let's not forget who put him there. Okay? The War Chief of all War Chiefs could have easily taken up that mantle for himself and said no. Because if it wasn't for this guy, the Horde would be dead right now. Vol'jin will be War Chief, and where you lead, I will follow. Okay? Let's go back to Mop, and let's go back to when Thrall puts Vol'jin on the throne, okay? That he was put there for a reason. And I don't think there's a character in Warcraft lore right now wiser than Thrall and more humble than Thrall.
It's totally true. If you're questioning Vol'jin's decision, then you're questioning Thrall's decision. And I don't see the purpose behind questioning Thrall's decision. Period.
Exactly, man. Okay, and let's not forget, if it wasn't for Vol'jin and Bane Bloodhoof, if it wasn't for Vol'jin starting the revolution, Garrosh would still be in charge of the Horde. It was Vol'jin going to Bane Bloodhoof and starting the rumblings and standing up to Garrosh that caused us to raid Orgrimmar and get rid of Garrosh in the first place. He was the one that did that.
Yeah.
So, that being said, with the storyline, man, yeah, I think the surprise is going to be Jaina, bro. Now, I touched a little bit on undertones, even from a certain artifact quest. One of my alts is a Frost DK. I did the Frost DK artifact quest, which is, in my opinion, and I've done a few already, so far the most fucking badass one. Holy shit. The lore behind that. Just going back to Ice Crown, man. Just going back to Ice Crown and walking through the halls of Ice Crown, collecting the freaking broken pieces of Frostmourne. Dude, the mobs that you have to kill as you're going through Ice Crown are the souls that were once trapped inside Frostmourne. And as you're going through and fighting each of those souls, like the new Lich King is whispering to your thoughts, telling you who each soul is, and the backstory behind who that person was, and why Arthas killed him in the first place. How fucking badass is that?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Oh, dude, and then it freaking culminates with you fighting the soul of Arthas, and you go kind of back in time and you see the soul of Arthas being talked to by the soul of Ner'zhul, as Ner'zhul's fucking with Arthas' mind, trying to get him to become the new Lich King and put on the helmet. And it culminates with you confronting Arthas' soul and beating it, kind of preventing it in the first place. And that's when you're deemed worthy by the new Lich King to take up the Blades of the Fallen Prince. Dude, while you're doing this quest line, there is something going on with this new Lich King. Because throughout the entire quest, the undertones of the Scourge will be our allies for now. The Scourge are gaining strength. The Scourge this, the Scourge that. Clues, man. These are clues to what's coming.
There's, I was looking at it, and I even asked you the other day. I said, what's gonna happen after this? Because here we have the Legion, man, and this has been like the eternal enemy of Azeroth that we've been trying to slow down and to stop for forever, and here they are, 100%, and it'll be 10,000 years after we finally whoop their ass before we have to ever worry about them coming back out again, and so, or however long, I don't know how that works, but I don't foresee the demons being an issue after this, so
well, especially if we kill
something's got to be working.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially if we kill Kil'jaeden and Sargeras. We kill Kil'jaeden and Sargeras, there is no more Legion. That's it. Legion's done.
So there you go, man. We're about to take out like the number one threat to Azeroth over the last forever, since its creation, really. And I mean, there's got to be something happening, either that or else their new MMO is going to be coming out in the next 2 years, because something's either stirring up in Azeroth or there's a new MMO coming out.
Well, see, that's the thing. When you really sit back and you analyze what's going on right now with the game, would they really do that, considering how much work has been put in to make the game look new again? Especially now with Legion, man, these freaking new animations, the new class animations along with the new models, like, would they really put that much effort and work into it if this was the last expansion? I don't think so.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, Demon Hunter needs at least another expansion or two to spread its wings. Speaking of its wings, a little bit bitter by the fact that Demonology Warlock got destroyed so that the Demon Hunter could look unique.
Bingo. Let's not talk about Demonology Warlock. I'm really still upset about that because that was going to be one of my mains. But going back a little bit to future expansion prediction before we get into class mechanics a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it looks like what people are predicting may come true where, okay, so now they're going to do the return of the Lich King for the next expansion. Oh, wait. GG Blizz. Way to get subs back. That could very well be. And that's a dangerous road to go down considering they've taken Illidan and brought back Illidan for this one. However, I will say, the way it's being done makes complete fucking sense. And Doctor, you still haven't seen the storyline because you haven't rolled a Demon Hunter yet. But the way that was done, man, in the Demon Hunter starting area and how it goes back to the Black Temple being raided all those years ago and how it's connected to what's going on right now, holy shit. Good job, Liz. Good job on that. I will give you that, man.
Sorry, I was yawning. Not because you were boring or anything. I just needed to yawn.
You're such a prick.
No, genuinely, it just happens. It happens all the time. But yeah, haven't seen the Demon Hunter yet because I've been really engaged with this priest that I'm playing, but from what I have heard about it, the storyline is great.
Yeah, and when we were talking the other day, it's like, oh, I already know what's pretty much going to happen at the end of the expansion. You know, right now, for those of you that don't know, and yes, this is a spoiler, feel free to pause me if you don't want to hear it, okay, bro? But Illidan has been taken by Gul'dan and the Legion. The Legion and Gul'dan possess Illidan's body, or Illidan's prison right now. And I love how Gul'dan said, yeah, you belong to the Legion now, bro. Yeah, okay, sure, guy. If you really think that by you just taking Illidan, you guys are going to somehow corrupt him into thinking that he's going to serve the Legion, you got another thing coming, bro. That was the whole point in the Harbinger stories that they released before the freaking launch, especially when they came to the Illidan one, man. Those keywords that he speaks to that Illidari who was questioning him. What's the difference between us and them? They'll stop at nothing to destroy our world. And we will stop at nothing and sacrifice everything to stop them. Dude, when you really think about it, man, it's pretty fucked up what we did to Illidan back in freaking Burning Crusade.
Yeah, truly. We looked at what he was amassing and viewed it as a threat, and we put him down. And now, I attribute largely us stopping him in the Burning Crusade and what we did in the Black Temple to how progressed the Legion has become since then.
Exactly. And for those that may be listening to us right now, who still haven't gotten a clear answer, you know, that may not be Burning Crusade players, they may be, you know, Wrath of Lich King babies or Cataclysm babies or whatever, because there's a large population of the community right now that are actually Cataclysm babies. You know, for those of you that don't know, you want to know why we killed Illidan in the first place back during Burning Crusade? Legit. Because we were scared. We were afraid. Illidan was amassing all these forces in Outland, okay? While we were there, the Draenei became afraid of it. We were helping the Draenei take the Legion out of Outland because the Legion had already run rampant on Draenor, which is why Outland looks the way that it looks. Okay? And then we have Illidan in the Black Temple amassing all these forces, taking control of the Naga, taking control of the Shavara, doing everything that he had done to the Draenei in Shadow Moon Valley. But when you really look at it and you look at the larger picture, Illidan was doing everything that he was doing and taking all the power that he was amassing because he wanted to destroy the Legion. There is only one thing that Illidan hates more than us for killing him, and that's the Burning Legion. That is his purpose. He created the Illidari for one purpose, to vanquish demons, to destroy the Legion. He was amassing all that power, dude, to kill the Legion. And we killed him out of fear because we felt like he was amassing too much power. And before it became a threat, we took him out before it became a threat. Now, how ironic that now, fast forward, 8 years later, the Legion is invading Azeroth, and freaking Maya of Shadowsong herself breaks the Illidari out of the prison and says, "Will you help us, Demon Hunter?"
Yeah. It's kind of sad, man. I will say that the Illidari throughout the story so far have been more than happy to point this out to you over and over. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked what I have sacrificed.
Well, not pointing out to you not what we've done to them, because see, that's what I love about the Illidari. Not necessarily pointing out what we did to Illidan or what we did to them, but the one thing that they point out over and over: what have you sacrificed? And a lot of people take it as, wow, what a jerk face. All he talks about is, you know, he just freaking keeps questioning me about what I've sacrificed. No, and that's not really what it is at all. I mean, when you really look back at Illidari lore, man, the reason they ask you, what have you sacrificed, is because sacrifice is everything to them. They gain all of their power through sacrifice. Okay, Illidari gouge out their eyes to gain spectral sight and be able to see demons no matter where they are. Illidari females gouge out the reproductive organs so that they can't reproduce. Okay, they sacrifice their bodies. They sacrifice their lives. They imbue themselves in demonic power. Okay, which causes like internal conflict for eternity just to be able to protect Azeroth. They do what they do to protect their world, man.
Yeah, it's true. There are very few people who have given as much as the Illidari have. I mean, and I don't see someone who has given that much to really just spin around, do a 180, and use it against their own people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure we're gonna have to fight a few Illidari. I'm sure that not all of them are strong, but I do not see us killing Illidan again as we're trying to make our way to the others. I don't. He might be part of a boss fight. We might have to fight him temporarily, but I do not think that is how it's going to end with him.
No. And, you know, when you really look at the big picture of what's starting to unravel here, Malfurion's a big fucking jerk face.
Real big one.
Malfurion is a big fucking jerk face. Brands his own brother, the Betrayer. Himself puts him in a prison, okay, for thousands of years. Banishes him to Outland for 10,000 years, okay, all in the name of fear and in doing what he thought he had to do to keep Azeroth safe. And how the world turns, and it turns out that the only thing to keep that world safe is to turn to that very wolf that he banished because he's not willing to do what's necessary.
Yeah, dude, sometimes it takes a wolf, man.
It takes the wolf to kill a wolf, which is what I love about this whole fucking storyline. Mark my words. Illidan, okay? Illidan is going to play along. We might have to fight him. At least temporarily, like the doctor said. Illidan's going to play along, bro. What he's gonna do is he's gonna take all this power from Sargeras. He's gonna take everything Sargeras gives him. Yeah, bro, I'll serve you, man. Give me all the power you want, and I will destroy your enemies. He's gonna take all this power from Sargeras and the Legion, and then once he has all that power that he can barely freaking manage to hold on to, bro, he's gonna turn around and be like, "What's up?" and slit Sargeras' throat.
It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be grand.
Yeah. He's going to be doing it for a purpose. And more than likely, it's going to cause his death because he's not going to be able to contain all that power.
Which would be damn shame. You know,
Exactly.
I mean,
and now all of a sudden, the Betrayer is known as the savior of Azeroth. Because the ultimate sacrifice. What did you do, Malfurion? Oh, that's right. You just wanted to steal Tyrande away.
Yeah, you just, slept for a few thousand years.
Right? Yeah, he went to the Emerald Dream for about 15,000 years, and who knows what the hell he was doing there? For all we know, he was having orgies.
What's Tyrande gonna think about all this?
Yeah.
Or
I cannot wait for that dialogue, bro, because I know it's coming. There is going to be dialogue between Malfurion, between Illidan and Tyrande, and I cannot wait. I can't wait.
It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good. Freaking Malfurion.
Either Malfurion's gonna die or Illidan's gonna die. I think it would be more badass if Illidan died in the service of Azeroth. The ultimate sacrifice. The Illidari are all about that sacrifice. And make Malfurion be like, damn, I was such a jerk. A lot of people are like, no, kill Malfurion and have Illidan take the girl.
It'd be cool for the fan fiction, but at the same time, I mean, what purpose would Illidan serve? If you spend 10,000 plus years with one purpose in mind and one goal, and then suddenly that's gone, dude, you're not turning around to just take an infinite summer after that. No,
Exactly.
You can't, especially after you've sacrificed so much, given up so much. What would Illidan do with the girl, knowing what he's done for his for the power that he has amassed right now. What would he be able to do in the end? I mean, it's not like he can carry on his own bloodline or anything anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the perfect end to it would be Illidan. Yeah, Illidan the Betrayer, known as the Betrayer for how many years in the history of Azeroth? Illidan the Savior of Azeroth. Go out like a complete badass, bro. And then have Malfurion feel like the biggest fucking douche face in the history of Azeroth.
Yeah, no amount of druidic healing is going to save that fool from himself.
Yeah, it's like Khadgar says in the freaking
you cut out there for a second. You talking?
Yeah, I'm talking. Sorry, you hear me now? I'm talking, bro.
Hello.
I hear you.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
You said I know, and then you cut out.
I think it was on your end because it was recording for me the whole time. But yeah, man, it's like Khadgar says in the feature preview, bro. And in our most desperate hour, we must wield the power of the enemy against them. Because in the end, it takes a wolf to kill a wolf, bro. No matter how hard a sheep tries to gain power to protect its own sheep, the sheep can't kill the wolf, man. It takes a wolf to kill it. That's it.
I just hate that it's Khadgar saying it.
Bro.
But
I thought you said you like Khadgar now, man.
Okay, only after the movie, and we have lost. It's lost in the nether. That recording where I may have discussed not completely hating Khadgar after seeing the movie, but with it being so lost, I don't have to admit to that crap.
Yeah, there was an episode of Blizz Talk that was recorded after Blizz Talk 9 where we did a Warcraft movie review, and to be completely honest, Docta, I am unable to locate it. It's lost somewhere in the Twisting Nether, as you mentioned. But you've heard it here, okay? Dr. Dodgeman no longer hates Khadgar, no matter what he says. I don't care how much he tries to deny.
Okay, his sheep, his friendly fire sheeping and polymorphing of certain guards was cool, man. Mad respect. I mean, power to the people. But I'm just nervous that he's gonna turn around and he's gonna decide that instead of being with the council, his time would be better spent,
Yeah, well,
cooking special orange food or something like that. I mean, maybe he wants to be a chef now. Maybe he's been watching too much Iron Chef or too much Chopped Azeroth Edition, and that's what his next endeavor is going to be, so he will start focusing his time on that. I wouldn't have an issue with that being a Pandaren. I would get 2 legendary bonuses from eating any legendary food that Khadgar decided to start cooking up, but yeah, I disagree with his methods used in Warlords of Draenor.
yeah. Well, I mean, hey, so far, it's not as bad. Yeah, we're still freaking running around collecting all sorts of shit for him. I don't think that's ever going to change. But so far, man, Khadgar's just in this little corner in Dalaran, just, preparing for this massive fight. I'm sure in the end he'll be part of that raid, and then he'll like with a snap of his finger teleport us to a certain floor of the Nighthold, and then just like, okay, go ahead and fight. I mean, I can end it in 2 seconds, but you guys go ahead and fight.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. I'm just saying, if he's gonna make a legendary, hook us pandas up, make it a food, and everyone will understand who the master race is.
Right, exactly. Now, let's talk a little bit, because we're at like 54 minutes. We're probably going to go over the hour.
Oh, yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about mechanics and how specs and classes are working right now. What are your thoughts initially, Doc?
To all of the disc haters out there right now, and there are many of you.
Let's talk about that.
Just screw off for a moment. Thank you very much.
The class is going to be absolutely fine. I have been quite vocal in the class forums over the last, couple of weeks since I came back that there's not a whole lot that people should be worrying about. The way it's working right now is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm sorry that you feel like your shielding's gone and you don't like exactly the way it's working. But someone tried to tell me that Disc never had to think 10 seconds ahead of where it was, and I'm sorry, but the entire idea of putting shields out was based around you predicting when damage was going to be coming and to watch the fight mechanics.
Yeah, whoever tells you that Disc was never intended to be knowing beforehand what was coming are probably the same fucking morons that say Frost DK and Windwalker Monk are the worst freaking DPS right now when it comes to melee.
Yeah, which we don't want to go down that road because there are a lot of strong opinions on that too. But you know what? Maybe we should, because I'm about to unleash hell on the Disc haters right here.
Go ahead, bro. Unleash hell, man.
So, you used to have to, if you wanted to be a good Disc, you needed to think 10 seconds ahead, like we said. And the perfect example of that, probably the best example of that by far, is our buddy Gruul in Blackrock Foundry, where Disciplined Priest could literally do 90% of the healing in that fight 15 seconds before it happened, and your other healers could just do nothing. And they fought for the other 10% of all the healing. That's not the need to think 10 seconds ahead hasn't changed. The fact that if you did it right with the old Disc and the old style, you were completely negating all the damage, making it so that Blizzard had to balance all of their fights around Discipline's ability to absorb that much damage, which was the number one issue for it. That's still there. We still have to think 10 seconds ahead. You have to apply Atonement. The only difference is now you're thinking 10 seconds ahead and you're trying to snipe the heals out from under your buddies like they used to have to do. But there's more damage being taken for that because you don't have access to all of those absorbs. Now that's not saying a ton. I mean, once every couple of minutes I can still shield up 10 or 11 people in my raid. But it might not be the most effective as far as healing goes, because the way Atonement works right now is awesome. And I actually just posted this last night in the forums like 5 hours ago, so like 2 a.m. But I said, and this applies to everything, I think that the spellbooks are set up wrong. I believe that the passive abilities for each class should be at the forefront of the spellbook. Because if you're reading your spellbook and you see all of these active abilities, and then you look at the passives, odds are most people aren't looking that far.
Odds are most people aren't reading their fucking tooltips, period, man. That's a whole other topic.
Exactly. But if you look at your passives first, especially with something as powerful and with as much potential as Atonement does have, then when you look at your active abilities afterwards, they kind of come to a whole new life. You know, people have such little faith in Discipline's ability to output healing, and I don't see why they worry. I mean, I've heard over and over that there aren't enough raid cooldowns. I'm sorry, man. Discipline might have the most healing cooldowns out of any class, because not only do they have their healing cooldowns and their damage absorption cooldowns like barrier and stuff, but every single DPS cooldown that Discipline has is also a raid healing cooldown. Just about every ability on my bar can be turned into a hell of a raid cooldown as long as I plan a little bit ahead and I know somewhat where the damage is coming.
As long as you actually fucking understand how your class works. I think my favorite one is the jackass fucking elemental shaman that got into an argument with you, saying, "Yeah, okay, bro, but I'm gonna have the entire raid healed back up to like 90% before you start even putting your shields on everybody and doing your atonement." And then you're like, "Jackass, thank you very much for just fucking demonstrating to me that you have zero clue about how Disc Priest is supposed to work." No, I'm not going to be fucking putting up shields while you already have everybody healed. The whole idea behind Disc is knowing to be proactive instead of reactive, so that when the damage comes out, I'm already set.
Yeah, bottom line, if I'm playing a Discipline Priest and I am just now casting Power Word Radiance on my raid when the damage is happening and other people are able to hit their cooldowns, that's not disc sucking. That's user error.
Exactly. That's not the class being bad. That's you not knowing how to fucking play it.
And I mean, I don't want to call people out and bash them or anything.
No, please, let's do it.
I did it nice enough in the forums, but the class has a lot to offer. And someone was asking the other day what its niche is and what its viability and what its ability to be used in guilds is. And let me tell you, man, we were briefly members of a guild that the raid lead had zero desire for a Discipline Priest. I told him I was willing to go disc, and I told him what I thought I could offer, and his reply was simply that maybe if there was a fight that really suited it. Versus the guild that we're in right now, where we sat down and talked with the raid lead, and I was like, "Dude, I want to be disc," and he said, "Okay, this is what my expectation of you is, and this is what your expectation of the class is." And you take a minute and you explain to your raid lead what you're able to offer and what you're able to accomplish. It's going to be viable. You just have to find someone who's willing to work with you. And I 100% intend on pushing progression hard, maining discipline.
Yeah,
and I do not think that it is going to hamper and slow down my guild's progression because I'm playing disc.
Yeah, for all those disc priests out there that may be listening and you love disc, you're one of the people that actually loves disc and where it is right now. If you have any fucking raid lead or guild lead for that matter tell you it's not viable, honestly, leave the fucking guild.
Yeah, go find someone who understands it. And I really did. I made it a point when saying that I want to play disc to discuss and lead with what I believe it offers. The number one thing being that with active mitigation being gone, smite is really the only way to absorb hit by hit damage for your tank and to slow that down. Exactly. And it's not going to absorb an entire hit, and I understand that. That would be expecting too much. But to soften that blow just a little bit, plus you're healing what happened before it, I mean, smite is the best ability in the damn game right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. It's so fucking stupid powerful. But let's get into, because this leads to this general fucking consensus that the Doctor and I have come to in the last week and a half or so. It's amazing to me that mathematics once again just get completely ignored. Mathematics and common sense. Mathematics and common sense right now tell you that the very two top melee specs, let's go top three. Just mathematics alone tell you right now that the very top three melee specs, okay, are equally Frost and Unholy DK, Windwalker Monk, and Enhancement Shamans. I love the fucking morons running around telling me that Frost DK is in such a bad spot when it comes to DPS. When we dive deeper into what's really going on here in people's minds, we figured out that it's the specs that actually require a little bit of thinking that has people saying they're in a bad spot. So in other words, it's, so because you can't do it because it's a little bit more complicated because it's more than a 3-button rotation, bro. So because you can't do it, it sucks. No. Fuck that.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what the problem with the disc was in some people's mind. I can hit one button and throw out my healing tide, or I can hit one button and put out my lifelink totem or whatever. One button and use tranquility and not have to worry about it. You have to hit all these power word radiances. It's the same idea with certain DPS specs. Right. Just because it takes a little bit more setup doesn't make it unviable.
Yeah, what it boils down to is just because it actually requires more thinking than your brainless spec doesn't mean it sucks. But that's Blizzard's fault. One thing that they have gotten wrong, that is my only gripe at this point, the ability pruning just got a little bit too out of control. Because what happens is, mechanically, it's working fine right now. But the problem is, in the minds of fucking simpletons, you breed the culture of, oh, this one is too hard, therefore it sucks because it takes too much of a setup. No, just because mine requires more thinking and I actually think, unlike you, doesn't mean it sucks, bro. That's the problem. Is how people are, the perception that people are taking right now. Because Blizz has actually done a fairly decent job with most of the specs. You have specs just by looking at them that are completely brainless. And then there's a few specs. I think the intention was for each spec, or for each class to have a spec that wasn't brainless, but it didn't necessarily work out that way. But you have specs across the board that require a little bit more thinking than the other spec for the other class. And it was done that way intentionally for the person that doesn't want to be completely brainless and wants a little bit more of a challenge. And the ones that do require a little bit more of a challenge, they've completely nailed. But the perception of the community is, no, that sucks. Because it's not as easy. And no, it's just not that it sucks, it's just that you can't fucking do it because you're an idiot.
I just don't want Blizzard to go back and to change the ones that are difficult. I mean, they've already shown that they're willing to do that, and I disagree with it very, very much. Rip Demonology, but
that's more because of the Demon Hunter. Demonology was up until freaking 7.0. Okay, Demonology was a fucking amazeballs spec. I played it in PTR. I played the shit out of it in PTR, man. And then right before 7.0 release, they caved and changed it because it was too much of a challenge compared to the other two. Dude, one of my mains was going to be my Demonology Warlock. And he's right now level 97, and he'll probably stay that way till the end of the expansion when I'm bored. Because they caved to the simpletons who said that it was too complicated.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that it happened, and I really hope that they don't do that with my chosen main. I mean, I would be really, really disappointed if discipline gets changed majorly here in a while. Please do not overhaul that again. I mean, I probably will step out.
There are a few specs that they just fucked up across the board. Hell, there's a few classes that just got shit on, period. And maybe it'll change towards the end of the expansion. But the danger with that, and we all know because they've done it in the past, the danger with those is that they'll fix it with freaking tier bonuses. Instead of fixing the class and, tuning things, they'll just tune it by using tier bonuses, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
But right now, rogues, just across the board, man. Rogues in general, even freaking Outlaw, which is the brand new spec, they just did not accomplish what they set out to accomplish, man. Rogue compared to WoD Rogue was fucking amazeballs. Rogue was in a very good spot in WoD. And the changes that they made for Legion, it's just not, you really don't see too many of them out there anymore. They did not nail what they set out to accomplish. Same thing with Hunters, man. Hunters just in general are few right now because they really did not nail the class fantasy. Right now, the most viable hunter spec is marksman, and it's got a 4-button rotation. It's sad because everybody expected survival to be the amazeballs spec because we were going back to a melee hunter. And the overall consensus with almost everybody right now is that they just did not nail that class fantasy. It didn't work out the way people expected. There's a lot of things about it that just make no sense, and people don't find it fun at all. The AoE on it is completely atrocious. It's like non-existent. Another one that's a really, really good example of how they completely destroyed a spec dude is Paladins. Paladins just across the board, man. Across the board. It got negative reviews by many top-end raiders and YouTubers across the board, all 3 specs. And it's the number one reason, it's because it's just completely brainless. Paladins, no matter what spec you play, is just which is, you know what, and for some people, that's completely fine. But for most, it's like, Paladins just suck now, man. It's like 3-button rotations across the board.
I've literally not seen a paladin in a single dungeon I've done thus far.
Me neither.
I've seen like 1 leveling.
Yeah. I've seen 1 leveling and that's it, man. I've seen no pank whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Other than the fact that the prophet villain or whatever somehow shows up as a paladin on my UI, and according to my SCADA readings and whatnot, other than that, man, paladins just go Draenei, you're a dying race.
Yeah, well, Velen is kind of like Tyrande in a way. If you use like Heroes of the Storm mentality, he's kind of like a hybrid. He's kind of like a hybrid of a priest and a paladin.
Yeah. Yeah, Heroes of the Storm. We'll have to talk about that later, man. We don't have time for that today, but damn it, Blizzard. They did the one thing that I said I didn't want to happen. They didn't hard reset it. We did every single one of our freaking placement games together. We got placed so far apart from each other. We played every placement game together. We got placed far enough apart from each other that we can't queue together. I don't think I've touched the game since.
Yeah.
I played 1 game.
Let's touch on that just for a second. And that social experiment that we promised in last season on Blizz Talk, yeah, it happened. We played every single placement game, and just like the Doctor predicted, we got placed separate. Every single placement game. And then somehow I end up in like Silver 4 and the Doc is like Gold 3. And now we can't queue together.
Yeah, screw off Blizzard.
Yeah, and we played a few games last week in like unranked draft, and after that, I decided to go back into Hero League to see if I can get my my rank up a little bit. And some things, how they never change. I'm sorry, the state of Heroes of the Storm right now, considering that like 30% of the population has left, period, because everybody's pissed off about the fact that Blizzard refuses to reset MMR every season. It's a cesspool. The state of Heroes right now is literally a cesspool. It's unbearable. It really is. They really need to take a second and reevaluate what they're going to do with Season 2. Because that's the thing. Season 2 was supposed to have been out already by now, and they pushed it back by 3 weeks. Everybody's questioning, why are you pushing back Hero League to September 13th? And they have yet to still reveal what the changes are going to be. And it's because they still don't know. They themselves still don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, man. I never thought I would say this, but take a lesson from Riot at League of Legends. I'm not a huge fan of their ranking system, but the way you queue and the way you play that and the way their game's set up and as far as putting it together so that you can play with your buddies is so far and ahead of this. And I understand that Blizzard is trying to make new leaps and bounds and it's not really a MOBA. No, you made a freaking MOBA. And the MOBA ranking system has never worked out. You're trying to fix it by limiting who I'm allowed to play with, especially when you don't reset the MMR and after the placement games, I can't play with the one person I play the game with. That was a mistake. And
huge.
Pretty much, Heroes of the Storm, the whole, what do you call this thing? The link on my computer, what do you call it? I don't know any of this crap, but the freaking picture that looks like a toilet. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, man.
The shortcut.
Toilet.
The shortcut.
The shortcut. It's just a big toilet that proves the fact when you download Heroes of the Storm, their shortcut tells you exactly what that freaking game is, and it needs to be flushed down the toilet.
Yeah, the little swirly. It does look like a fucking toilet being flushed.
Yeah.
And on that note, my fellow geeks and nerds, remember, always rock out with your controllers out and keyboards out. And here's a little preview of what may be coming in Season 2 of Blizz Talk. Take it away, Mr. Michael Oxlong.
Thank you for listening to Blizz Talk with Straight Edge 187 and Docta and I. Remember to always like our videos and to subscribe to our Gaming Ringside with Bigfoot YouTube channel. To follow us on Twitter, search for @StraightEdge781GRWB. The Blizz Talk Facebook page is still coming very soon. Unfortunately, you still can't follow Dr. Dodgeman anywhere because he's still a clueless fuckwad who hates technology. And yes, it's still a miracle he's even a gamer. This has been Blizz Talk with Straight Edge 187 and Docta Dodgeman.